In this video, we're going to take a look at solving equations, and we're going to look at many different types of equations and how to solve them. In the first example, it says solve the equation 4 times x plus 3 is equal to negative 2 times x plus 6. So here we have a linear equation. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply the 4 through the parentheses on the left side of the equal sign and negative 2 through the parentheses on the right side. So I get 4x plus 4 times 3 is 12 is equal to negative 2x, and negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. And now when we have a linear equation, we want to put all the x terms on one side of the equation and all the constants on the other. So here I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So I have 4x plus 2x gives me 6x. And I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides, or move this positive 12 to the right side by subtracting 12. So we have negative 12 minus 12 is negative 24. So we're left with 6x is equal to negative 24. So x is equal to negative 4. In this next equation, it says solve for x in terms of the other variables. And we have 5xy minus 3y plus 2z is equal to z minus 3xz plus 4x. And in this problem, we're going to move all the terms that have an x in it to one side of the equation and all the other terms to the other side. So here I'm going to say that we have 5xy, and then on the right side of the equation, we have negative 3xz. So it becomes positive on the left side. We add 3xz to both sides. And then I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And this is equal to, remaining on the right side, we have a z term. And then the terms on the left side that don't have x in it are negative 3y. So we're going to add 3y to both sides. And then we're going to subtract 2z from both sides. And now on the left side of the equation, I'm going to factor out x. So I have x, and then I'm left with 5y plus 3z minus 4. And this is equal to, on the right side of the equation, we can combine our like terms. So we have z minus 2z. So we have negative z remaining. So 3y minus z. And now we need to divide 3y minus z by 5y plus 3z minus 4 to solve for x. So x is equal to 3y minus z divided by 5y plus 3z minus 4. So whenever you have an equation with multiple variables in it, the process is going to be to move all the terms that have the variable you're trying to solve for to one side of the equation, everything else from the other, and then factor out the variable you're trying to solve for. In this next problem, it says use the determinant to determine how many real solutions we have, and then find all the real solutions of the equation x squared is equal to 4x plus 12. And remember, in order to solve a quadratic, we're going to move all of our terms to one side of the equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this as x squared minus 4x minus 12 is equal to 0. And now as far as the determinant, d is equal to b squared minus 4ac. And if this looks familiar, it's the inside the radical of the quadratic formula. And remember, if d is greater than 0, we have two roots, or two real solutions. If d is equal to 0, we have one solution. And if d is less than 0, we have 0 real solutions. So in this case, d is equal to b squared, negative 4 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 12. And now we have d is equal to negative 4 squared is 16. And then we have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 12 gives us positive 48, so D is equal to 64, and that's greater than 0. So that means we're going to have two real solutions, which are also roots. So now, whenever we have a quadratic, the first thing we're always going to try is to factor. If we can't factor, we're going to use the quadratic formula. In this equation, we can definitely factor it, and we have x minus 6 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. Remember that the two constants need to multiply together to give us the outside number, and they need to add together to give us the b term, which was negative 4. And negative 6 plus 2 gives us negative 4. Negative 6 times 2 gives us negative 12. So x is equal to 6, and x is equal to negative 2. And we're going to get a review of the quadratic formula in a later example. The next problem says solve the equation 1 over x minus 2 plus 3 divided by x plus 3 is equal to 4. And the first thing that I'm going to do here is multiply this entire equation by the common denominator. So I'm going to have the entire equation multiplied by x minus 2 times x plus 3. And now 1 over x minus 2 times x minus 2 is 1. So in the first term, all we're left with is x plus 3 plus 3 divided by x plus 3 times x plus 3. The x plus 3's are going to cancel, leaving us 3. And then we also have the x minus 2 factor is equal to 4 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. And now we're going to simplify both sides. So the first thing on the left I'm going to do is multiply the 3 through the parentheses. So I have x plus 3 plus 3x minus 6. And this is equal to 4 times, now we're going to FOIL the two factors. So we have x squared, and then we have plus 3x minus 2x is plus x. And then negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So I can combine my like terms on the left, x plus 3x, 4x, and 3 minus 6 gives me negative 3. And this is equal to 4x squared plus 4x minus 24. And now, because it's quadratic, I'm going to start by moving everything to one side of the equation. So we have 4x squared, and now we have 4x minus 4x that we moved over from the left side. So we have 0x, and then we're going to add 3 to both sides. So we're going to have minus 21 is equal to 0. And now in this quadratic, we don't have a center term. We don't have a x term. So we're going to move the constant to the left. So we're going to have 4x squared is equal to 21 and divide by 4. So x squared is equal to 21 divided by 4. And now we're going to take the square root of both sides. And it's important to remember that when we take the square root of both sides, our solution is plus and minus the square root. And in this case, the square root of 21 over 4. So our solutions are x is equal to the square root of 21 divided by 2, and x is equal to negative square root of 21 divided by 2. In this last example, we have solved the equation, the absolute value of 3x plus 4 is equal to 2. And remember, whenever we have absolute value, we're going to set it up as two equations. We're going to say 3x plus 4 is equal to 2, and 3x plus 4 is equal to negative 2, and solve both of them individually. So in the first one, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So 3x is equal to negative 2, and now x is equal to negative 2/3. And in the second equation, we have subtract 4 from both sides again. 3x is equal to negative 6, and x is equal to negative 6 divided by 3, or negative 2. So our solutions are negative 2/3 and negative 2. And that's all for this video on solving equations.